Knife on the stick, trying to get jiggy. They had found that boy alive, all of his body parts was missing.
Hey guys, today I will show you a 1987 documentary drama movie named Where is the Friend's House? Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care.
The boy was scolded by the teacher for the third time. It was because his family couldn't afford to buy him a notebook, so he had to write his homework on a scrap piece of paper. The teacher tore his homework to shreds and kept questioning him. Nima had no choice but to lie and said that he left his notebook at his cousin's house. But the teacher didn't believe him at all. He had heard this excuse. He was afraid that he would be beaten by his parents when he got home. Fortunately, his deskmate Ahmed was very friendly and comforted Nima, helping him clean the wound and pants. The two of them were best friends, but Ahmed's family was only slightly better off than Nima's. When Ahmed returned home, he wanted to finish his homework quickly, but his mother always had assignments for him. She ordered. Finally, Ahmed had time to do his homework, but he realized that he had an extra notebook. It was Nima's. Ahmed felt guilty and knew that if he didn't return the notebook, Nima would get expelled. He carefully told his mother about it, but she thought Ahmed just wanted to go out and play. Ahmed showed her the evidence, the extra notebook, but his mother still refused to let him went that far to deliver a notebook. However, they can only keep their words to themselves and gradually become the timid and quiet children that the adults describe them as. Ahmed hadn't written much of his homework when his mother asked him to go outside and buy some bread. After thinking for a moment, he saw this as a good opportunity. Through winding and twisting paths, he crossed over mountains and went through forests. After a series of adventures, he arrived in Pashte. But Ahmed didn't know where Nima lived. No one along the way knew either. The whole village seemed like a huge maze, with occasional appearances of animals. Suddenly, Ahmed ran into another classmate, but the classmate didn't know where Nima lived either. However, he did tell Ahmed the location of Nima's cousin's house. As Ahmed headed towards the cousin's house, he suddenly saw a pair of brown pants. Didn't Nima wear the same pants today? Ahmed immediately called out Nima's name, but there was no response from inside the house. He asked the mysterious old man nearby, but the old man had no idea who Nima was. Ahmed had no choice but to wait. He climbed the stairs and stood in front of the door. It was indeed Nima's cousin's house, but they had just left for Koker. Wasn't Koker his own village? Ahmed immediately rushed back home. Once again, he passed through the quiet forest, crossed over towering mountains, and walked along the winding path. Ahmed had no choice but to truthfully tell his grandfather what had happened. But in fact, his grandfather had already seen him crossing mountains and valleys. After listening to him, his grandfather asked him to go home and get a pack of cigarettes. Although Ahmed was in a hurry, he had to obey his grandfather's authority. However, as soon as he turned around, his grandfather told the people around him that there were actually no cigarettes at home. The cigarettes were with him. This was just a way for him to teach Ahmed to obey his elders, and he believed that children were meant to be ordered around. The old man next to him felt that this was a twisted philosophy. Plus, the child's intentions were good. But his grandfather believed that children needed to be disciplined more when they were young, so they could adapt to society when they grew up. The other old man felt it was absurd, but since it was someone else's grandson, he couldn't argue. Before long, Ahmed returned from home and said that his mother hadn't found any cigarettes. His grandfather asked him why he didn't search again. But Ahmed was very anxious. He hadn't bought the bread yet, and he hadn't delivered the homework book either. Meanwhile, a merchant who was standing nearby approached Ahmed and asked to tear a sheet of paper from his homework book. So he immediately chased after him, following the donkey on the winding road. The merchant called his son to help with the goods, and a boy who looked similar to Nima came out of the house. Ahmed was overjoyed, but when he turned to him, the boy wasn't Nima. The boy told Ahmed that there were many people named Nima nearby and asked if he knew what kind of work Nima's family did. Ahmed thought for a moment and only had one clue. Nima had once brought a can of goat's milk to school. The boy told Ahmed the location of the goat shed in the village, lit by darkness. Just as he was lost in confusion, a warm light appeared. The carpenter next door opened his window. After hearing Ahmed had come all the way from Koker just to deliver the homework book to Nima, the carpenter decided to put down his work and accompany Ahmed. The childless carpenter guided Ahmed through the dim lights. Although Ahmed was in a hurry, he slowed down his pace. The old man proudly talked about his work, but now people prefer to use iron doors and windows, saying that they can last a lifetime. But iron is so cold. Even though he still hadn't bought the bread and hadn't delivered his mother's request, Ahmed did not rush the old man. However, the old carpenter was really out of energy and let Ahmed go back on his own first. So he sprinted all the way, but as soon as he arrived at the intersection, several big dogs blocked his way. Soon, the old carpenter caught up. He said he was worried about this and came to accompany Ahmed. Then, back home, Ahmed didn't deliver the homework book or buy the bread. Fortunately, no one blamed Ahmed this time. After thinking it over, Ahmed decided to write 2 sets of homework. He really didn't want Nima to be expelled. The next morning, as the teacher began checking the homework, Nima handed in several pieces of scrap paper. He kept his head down and dared not look up. The closer the teacher got, the harder it was for Nima to control his tears. Fortunately, leave a comment below and let me know.
This is Movie Life Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.